How's it going, y'all? Welcome back to the Guil Podcast. This podcast is about me, Gil, and the things that I'm currently obsessed with. This is season 2, episode 1. It's been a while since I've made a podcast episode, and I'm going to go into the reasons why. Well, if you follow me, you kind of know I produce podcasts for a lot of people, a lot of clients, a lot of businesses, and that kind of took a little bit more of my podcasting time. But I just want to start off with a brand new slate. I currently have, I think, 75 or 76 episodes for my podcast season 1. And I feel like that was a good run. And for season 2, I want it to be a lot more organized and a lot shorter. So it's not going to be a bunch of 70 something episodes. I really want to do a solid 6 episodes for season 2. They're going to be very simple and straightforward. And I'm going to be going over topics such as podcast production, fundamentals, podcast tools, camera settings, things that are going to be more evergreen. So I'm going to be putting the podcast. I don't even want to in my mind, it's going to be a podcast episode, but as you'll see with this episode, it's going to be more of a presentation and something that I can share for people who are looking to learn, because podcasting and podcast production is in. So for this episode, I'm going to be talking about the fundamentals, the things that you as a podcast engineer should have. So this is for the people who want to record podcasts for clients, record podcasts for themselves, or a podcaster who just wants to be more informed and aware of the tools, software, and skills that they need to have a successful and polished episode. So we're going to be starting off with a few things. We're going to be talking about audio, video, and all that. So we're going to start off with the first segment, audio. Okay. So you already know podcasting is an audio medium. You need to make sure that the audio is good. Like, I have headphones here. I already tested it, but I would test the microphone, see if it works. I'll listen to see if there's any weird noises. There's a couple of things that could happen, especially in the podcasting realm. So let's just say, for example, I heard a hiss or I heard just a noise, right? There's no noise happening there other than my fan or my PC fan humming, right? But if I heard a weird noise coming from the cable, like a weird static, one of the things that you should check, call this an XLR cable for a microphone. If I had this on the ground, like it might be, right? If I have a podcast, it might just be on the floor, and I had another cable, let's just call this a power cable that plugs into a monitor, a video light, a television, a NAS, a network attached storage, and they just so happen to be physically close. There is actual current running through this cable, because let's just say that this is a video light power cable, and my XLR cable just so happened to be in the vicinity of it. The electricity or the voltage passing through will affect the podcast XLR cable, like the XLR cable. It's going to make it sound really bad. So a lot of times people would say, "Oh man, you wrapped up your cable and you got the bad audio. Like you're wrapping it wrong and you're causing creases in there, or you have a cheap audio cable." Those are true. Those are very true. Those could be potential reasons as to why you're hearing hiss. But more than not, the reason is because you have a cable that's too close to a power cable, or you're just in a completely high charged environment where the office space, the housing, there's something electrically wrong with that space. And I'm only speaking from experience because I have a server in my room. And I had one point recorded a bunch of podcasts in here, and I remodeled it, and I had had a little snake. So I had a power cable and my XLR cable going in the same snake, to make the office look neat. But you know what wasn't neat? the audio. The audio was not neat, and it took me forever to figure it out. So cables have noise, even though it's not audible. Like, it's not that the cable and having electricity pass through is not that it's loud and is making noise and a microphone is picking it up. It's just that the electricity, the poles, that scientifically, it's just it causes the audio cable to make static come up on the audio. So that's pretty much it. So just that the audio cable just picks up static and it doesn't sound good. So keep those cables separated. Keep them separated, or get new cables. Sometimes they have bad cables and things happen. So another thing for audio, you saw that I said you have to have headphones, because monitoring your audio is extremely important. And as a podcast engineer, this podcast is not yours. It's a client's podcast, or it's your friend's podcast, and they are entrusting you with their story. So you need to make sure that you have some respect and you do your due diligence and put on headphones to make sure that you are hearing them and it is being recorded. And as far as audio goes, a couple of tools that you would need as a podcast engineer actually is not, yeah, you definitely would need a Rodecaster Pro or a Rodecaster Video if you're doing video podcasts. But a Rodecaster Pro for sure is an audio tool that I highly suggest that you get. Like, that's going to be the thing that you are going to get to make sure you get high quality audio. I wouldn't want to mess with anything else. I've had there are other cool things out there, but I don't want to be the person to just say, hey, try everything. If it plugs audio, it has audio ports, it has, microphone jacks, use it. No, they're not made equal. A lot of people buy things and bad things happen, and you waste a lot of time and waste a lot of money, and you do not want to waste your client's time or money. Podcasting takes a lot of time. You basically are going to invite people to come to a space. They invest the time, took the time off, and then you're bringing out a Fisher-Price podcast recording tool. That's not right. Have some respect for yourself and have some respect for your clients. So that's probably what I would just stick with. And Shure SM7B, XLR microphones. You should definitely, and again, this episode is for people who are looking to be podcast engineers. You definitely should have access to at least, it's going to sound crazy, a minimum of 4 SM7Bs. Like, you should have at least access to 4. If you're looking to do podcast engineering, you could start off with 2, you know what I'm saying? Not SM7Bs in general, but if you have 4 SM7Bs, that'd be fantastic. But 4 microphones, you should have access to at least 4 microphones, and you can get creative. You can use wireless mics. I highly recommend using the DJI Mic 3 and getting a case. It comes with 2 microphones, and then you can buy 2 extra ones and using the transmitter to basically connect all 4. And you actually can connect up to 8 microphones with the DJI Mic 3. So that's another tip right there. But make sure you have ample enough microphones, because you will get into a scenario where a client says, hey, I want to do a podcast. I will do a podcast with my best friend. We're going to do a podcast. It's going to be amazing. And then you pull up and it's their best friend and their other side best friend and then another best friend. And it's going to be 4 people. And then they're going to tell you, no, it's fine. It's fine. Just use 2 mics and we talk loud. No, it's not going to look right. It's going to look crazy. And it's also going to sound crazy. So invest in the microphones. I would highly recommend you, if you only have 1 mic, start off with just 1 microphone and make a podcast, a solo podcast, focus on solo podcasts, and then build your way up and get a second microphone. There's always used markets. Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp is great. And Amazon has a pretty large refurbished marketplace inside of Amazon, which is pretty dope. So yeah, the audio, that's like the hardware aspect of it, right? We're going to get into the cleaning of it. Like, let's say we have a hiss. I guess we can get into it now. So let's say we have a hiss. and a hiss in the audio or bad audio or a weird static noise, and you don't have the time to fix it because you already set up and we're recording. I wouldn't stress out about it. You did what you needed to do. You set it up, and it just so happened that while recording, they're 20 minutes in, 6 minutes in, something weird happened, and now there's a hiss in the audio. 5 minutes in, 5 minutes in, I would stop the recording. I would say, hey, there's something going on. I need to figure it out. 5 minutes in. Yeah, 5 minutes in, I'll stop the recording. 20 minutes in, no, you're just going to deal with it. 10 minutes in, no. Because I'll use a software like Auphonic. Auphonic is a tool that you basically would upload the audio and it'll clean it up. Another thing, as a podcast engineer, it's your job to like kind of regulate the temperature. You're like a cook, I don't know if anybody cooks, but if you are, making eggs, you have to like keep things in motion and you don't want it too hot. You want it just right, depending on the type of eggs that you want. But you can't overcook it. You can't overdo it. You have to keep everything calm, decent temperature. You have to regulate the temperature. And for clients, they are exposing themselves. They're opening themselves up and talking and sharing their thoughts and ideas. And it's hard. So don't make it harder by just being a nervous wreck and like, I don't know if this thing is recording. Oh no, I found a mistake. I got to fix this. Be cool. I think in my head, life is like an RPG, like a role-playing game. And I get plus 100 charisma when I'm producing podcasts. My whole entire job is to literally just make you calm, relax. Even though everything is going wrong on my end. You would never know. Because my job, I understand, is to make you trust me and you feel relaxed. And I will do my best to fix everything in post so you don't have to worry about it. But that's why I also invest in the right tools. So I remember a couple years ago, I was doing a podcast and a client, we had everything squared away. We knew what we needed to do. I knew how many mics they needed. And for some odd reason, there was a weird hiss. And I had one of these clients where they act like they're the podcast engineer. So they took the headphones. Whoa, what's going on? Well, why is there a hiss on here? And I was like, relax. It's fine. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I don't want to worry about this. And I took the opportunity to say, how about this? You sit down on the microphone, start talking like you were before the break, and I'll show you how I edit the audio. So I made them talk. And actually, I just took the portion of the audio that they already had recorded because we took like a break. And I edited the audio in Auphonic and they were like, whoa, I don't hear the hiss. I'm like, it's fine. I'll fix the hiss later. Just keep podcasting. And everything was fine. So when things do go wrong, you have to, have a solution, obviously, but you also have to make sure your client remains calm. Don't tell them you'll fix it later. Try to make that thing calm right now. All right. So that's it for the audio segment. Let's move on to the next segment, and that's video. Nowadays, video podcasting is big, right? So one of the most important things, and I'm just going to keep this really brief because I feel like I went a little bit over on the audio side. You have to have the same cameras. Just how it looks very off when you watch a podcast and there's like somebody with a Shure SM7B, then somebody's like with a weird hand mic, then another person wearing or holding a weird, like a DJI mic or something. It looks weird. Yes, we can hear them, but it's just aesthetically not pleasing. And the same thing goes when you have different cameras. So I shoot with 2 Sony A7Cs. These are going to be for the tight shot. So I have 2 of these with the same lens, a 50mm f1.4 for that nice, creamy, blurry background. And for the wide shot, the shot where it shows everybody, and the camera that I'm using now is a Sony a7 IV. That allows me to, the wide shot I use normally is 16 to 35, and it allows me to like see everything. And I would have that as shot at aperture 5.6, f4, depending on how many people. I want that shot to have no blurry background if I can help it, right? Depending on how many people and depending on the setting. The wide shot should have everything in focus, everybody in focus. The tight shots, the shots where it's the close-ups, the close-ups of the people, I like to have it, I like to have the background completely obliterated and the person is just the main focus. That's just me. I shoot Sony. It's easy for me to match the colors when I'm shooting on Sony. It won't make any sense if I'm shooting with a Nikon, then I had a person tell me, yeah, I want to use like a Logitech webcam for like the wide shot. Then I'll use like my Canon for this shot, and then I got like a DJI Osmo, and I was like, but those are all different focal lengths. Those are all different frame rates, color temperature. Those are all different. Like it would look insane. Could it work? For sure, but you'll be jumping through hoops. The reason why I say if you're going to be doing a video podcast, you need to make sure that you have the same camera is because I'm able to have the same buttons and dials on one camera and on the other, same menu system and the same color. So it's easy for me to bounce back and forth. And then when I also hire people to assist me on the set, they're not trying to jump and like, okay, I got to remember this is a Lumix. This is a night. Okay. No, everything's the same. Everything's going to look the same. Everything's going to feel the same. So it's just overall super easy, barely inconvenience. Now let's get into one of the, I guess the thing that's in the room, like the elephant in the room, 4K versus 1080. If a client requests that they want the podcast to be in 4K, I have a workaround for that because the Rodecaster video and any video switcher except the YOLObox Extreme does 4K. Does 1080. Like most video switchers, like the one that I'm using now is in 1080. And that is great because the bit rate is high. It has a bit rate. 4K is cool and all, but it's really all about the bit rate. And because not all 4K is, the same. So what I would recommend is figure out what your client wants. And actually, I won't even say anything. A lot of times I'll have a client and they'll say something like, hey, I want this to be in 4K. And I'll say, just letting you know, that doesn't matter. Oh no, I want mine to be in 4K. Okay, cool. If you do, here's how much it's going to cost because that is super expensive to maintain. My cameras are going to be overheating because I'll be recording internally versus doing a video switching. And the way that I get around that, I would record it internally, and then I would use the Rodecaster video to record the 1080 version, and then I could just sync them up later and just take the audio from the Rodecaster video just to make it sound great, and it'll be in 4K. And my client will complain that it takes forever for me to send them the file, even though I told them 1080 video is a lot easier to work with versus 4K video. All right. So that's pretty much it about video. I also forgot the most important thing about video. Realistically, for a podcast is nothing without audio. And a video podcast is nothing without light. You need lighting. Lighting is the second most important part of a video. And for a video podcast is super important. Lighting tells a story. Like right now, I have one main video light. It's a 150 watt light and I have a grid on there and it's pretty much sending the light perfectly to me and not the background. And the background, I have a light right here that's simulating a window light. Lighting helps you sculpt and tell the story. It's super, super important. And it's one of the most important parts of a video podcast because you have two subjects, sometimes four. You need to make sure that they're well lit and exposed properly. Another thing about video is that I know I should have brought this up, but black people's skin and white people's skin are completely different, obviously. But for a video podcast, you have to make sure that you dial in the proper skin tones, proper exposure for everybody, because we all are the same, but we all look different on camera, and lighting does a lot of things differently. So, like for example, I have this light right here, right? It's like a lightsaber. You know, I hate Star Wars, by the way. I don't like Star Wars, but that's not the point. So let's say having this light on me, it's bad. But watch what happens when I have it face the wall. The light is still in the room, but what happened is instead of it hitting me, it's hitting the wall and coming back. So what I like to do is take the light and bounce it so that it hits the wall and comes back down to me. So a lot of times you have a subject who is, I don't want to say sensitive to light, but their skin is, let's just say a white person or somebody of more clear complexion. You don't want the light right on them, or even me, you'd want the light in a place where it's bouncing back. So one of the tricks that I would say is use diffusion. Like I have my light is diffused, but also the best diffusion is bouncing the light. Having the light leave that light source and then bounce the wall and come back to you. That's also great. So try that. Make the light face the wall, face the ceiling, and come back down. So that's it for video. Let's move on to the next segment. Next segment is software. Software is important. Is an important part of podcast production because we can't do anything without editing. Uh, I edit on Final Cut Pro. I also use DaVinci. I started using DaVinci a little bit more, but then I'm kind of coming back to Final Cut. DaVinci does have some amazing tools that actually help you automate your podcasts. So there's this trick, I wouldn't even call it a trick, but there's a feature in DaVinci Resolve Studio version, the paid version only, because DaVinci is free. But in the paid version, you're able to take, let's say you're doing a 3-camera podcast with 2 microphones. You're able to upload 5 of those clips, right? So you have one wide shot, one tight shot, and another tight shot, right? And then you have mic 1 for the host and mic 2 for the guest. So that's 5 files. You upload them to the DaVinci Resolve. You tag them. Hey, so mic 1 is Guil, mic 2 is Sarah, camera 1 is the Y, camera 2 is Guil, camera 3 is Sarah. Mark them, and DaVinci Resolve will literally take those clips and then start splicing them. And then you can pretty much say, hey, how often do you want to show the wide angle? Yeah, I want to show it moderately, but not too much. And it will create cuts and it will edit your podcast for you in minutes, seconds, depending on how long your podcast is and also how powerful your computer is. So that's another thing to look out for. So if you have a PC, a Mac, check out DaVinci Resolve. It's pretty dope. Another thing about software is subscriptions. So I just said that DaVinci Resolve is free, but then there's a paid version called DaVinci Studio. You'd have to pay for that. I also said that I have Final Cut. That is, I think, like $300. You pay one time, you have it for free. I mean, you have it for a lifetime. But Apple just came out with the Apple Creator Suite, and that's like $12 a month, and it includes Final Cut Pro and a few other stuff. It's, as a creator and as a podcast producer, engineer, you end up having to have a lot of subscriptions because you actually need them. These are tools. So how do you end up, or how do I or you end up paying for all this stuff? I pass along the cost to my clients. You make sure that you price yourself in a way where your needs are taken care of and you can actually access these tools when you need them on a month-to-month basis. So if you have a podcast that you're doing for a client and you have a 6-month contract, you can have the subscription for 6 months or however long you need it and just pay for the subscription and make sure that you put that price for the subscription in the agreement with your client or in the invoice. So that way you don't have to worry about it and you're not coming out of pocket. You're having the client come out because you don't need it. They do, but you need it to do the work for them. So that's another thing is just figure out how do you price those subscription for your clients. That's something that I learned recently. Um, I want to say recently. Yeah, recently, fairly recently. Just thinking about like, okay, I really need these services. Just pass it along to the client. That's pretty much it because it's a tool and we need it. So podcast production tools that I use and I think that you should start using, Auphonic. Auphonic, I mentioned it earlier. It's a tool that allows you to edit audio. I love it because you can have multi-track functionality where you upload multiple sources of audio. Let's say you have a 3-person podcast. You upload each of those microphones. You can name them, and Auphonic will edit it for you. It's amazing. I think that's like $12, $13. Don't quote me on it, but just check it out. I'll put a link in the description for Auphonic. You can also use Adobe Enhanced Speech Tool. So if you already have Photoshop, any type of Adobe subscription, you already have Adobe Enhanced Speech Tool. You just could go to the website and start using it. It's okay. I've had a couple of issues with it. But now leaving editing, because we spoke about Final Cut Pro, we spoke about Auphonic, the editing side. Let's talk about if a client wanted to do a live stream or record a podcast, right? Because you can't record in Final Cut, which is like one of the things that somebody had asked me, like, why can't I record a video on Final Cut? I was like, that's a good question. I feel like you should be able to. This podcast is actually powered and sponsored by Libsyn. If you want to start podcasting, you don't know where, you don't know how, you should go to Libsyn and start podcasting there. Libsyn will take your podcast and send it everywhere. Apple, Spotify, anywhere people listen to podcasts. And the bonus thing that Libsyn does is they help you monetize your podcast on day one. That's right. So you sign up for Libsyn and you're able to monetize your podcast as soon as you start podcasting. If you want to try Libsyn today and get 1 month free, use code Guil and you're able to get 1 month free. And yeah, can't wait to listen to your podcast. That was dope. I did that with one take. I don't have a teleprompter in front of me. Y'all. This was just one solid take. That was dope. So be sure to sign up for Libsyn and use the link in the description of this video. So thank you. And thanks for Libsyn for sponsoring and supporting your boy. That's what's up. So sticking on the software side, let's talk about how you'd be able to record a podcast. Let's say you don't want to record onto your cameras. You don't want to use a Rodecaster video. You don't have one. How would you be able to capture your client's podcast? You can use Ecamm Live. I love Ecamm Live. Ecamm Live is one of my favorite tools. You can go live. So if you have a client who wants to go live on multiple platforms at once, like Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere, you'll be able to use Ecamm Live for that and bring chats onto the screen. So that way your client's audience could be, fully immersed and engaged, seeing their comments and whatnot. I think it's pretty dope. So Ecamm Live is pretty great. There is also a new kid on the block called Meld, MELD. It's pretty cool. It's like another software called OBS, which is Open Broadcast Software, I believe it's called, Open Broadcast Systems. And it's like Ecamm, but a little bit more complicated. Ecamm is very straightforward and Ecamm is only Mac only, but I love OBS for being, it's old and it's classic, but Meld is amazing. So if you want to get into like live streaming, and it's free. So if you want to get into live streaming, you want to get into recording videos without, your camera having a SD card needed and just recording onto your computer, going live by connecting your camera to your computer, I highly recommend using OBS, which is free, or Meld. But more than all of that, I would highly recommend, especially if you have a Mac, get Ecamm. Ecamm is worth it. The community is amazing. and the software it's great. Ecamm just solves a lot of problems for me and my clients. It's great. All right, let's move on to the last part that I kind of want to share. And I feel like I was rushing a little bit, but I will make a longer video on my Patreon kind of going over everything. So the last part is just miscellaneous stuff. There's just a lot of stuff that you need as a podcast engineer that makes your life easier. One of the things is a dummy battery. So a dummy battery enables you to plug your camera into an outlet or use a V-mount battery. So this is a V-mount battery. This thing right here. It's pretty big. This is a 100-watt V-mount battery. This is actually powering the camera that I'm using right now. And I don't have to worry about my camera dying. The camera won't die. Nor will my camera overheat, because batteries, like camera batteries, there's battery acid in here. So it's a chemical reaction that's going on when it's being depleted and when it's charging, right? So when I put this inside my camera and I'm filming and my client saying, "Hey, Gil, we want to do a 4K video," and it's camera's processing power is heating up because it's, recording and, capturing a 4K image, then my battery is dying. It causes a lot of heat, and the camera will then subsequently give me a warning. Hey, it's getting hot in here, so hot that it might shut off, right? And you don't want that to happen while you're podcasting. So to alleviate all that, I use a dummy battery, and a dummy battery it's just the same. It's literally the same as this, but it's hollow. There's no acid. There's no battery acid in here. It's just the pins. So it only has the pins that gives the camera to recognize, hey, there's power here. Then there's like a long cable, as y'all saw, that goes to a V-mount battery or an outlet. So dummy batteries are great. You never have to worry about charging your camera batteries. Using a V-mount is phenomenal as well. So there's a lot of tools out there that you might need. One of the most important tools is a tripod. I don't really like to use tripods as much. Honestly, I feel like they take up a lot of space. I actually love using the Elgato Wave mic arm. I can clamp that thing onto anything and my cameras don't have a problem. Like I've had my Sony a7 IV with a 24 to 70 millimeter lens on there. I've had that and more on it, and it's been fine. But there are cases where I would use a tripod just because, okay, there's nothing to clamp my desk to the Wave mic arm to, and that's fine. It's not the end of the world, which is why you have tripods for just in case. And as a podcast engineer, you're going to have a just in case bag. Let me get like this right here. I buy these adapters. This is a XLR male to a 3.5 female adapter, and this thing is super handy because there are times where I need it. I always carry a XLR adapter. I always carry a quarter to 3.5 adapter. Like I always have adapters just in case. So start producing podcasts, start engineering podcasts, make mistakes, and see what you need. And if you buy it one time and you used it and it's great, and it's like just a tool to make your life easier, buy another one. Keep it in your truck, keep it in your car, put it in your purse, put it in your backpack, put it in your man purse. Keep it on you as a just in case thing, because you never know. All right, so that was pretty much it. It's not the end of the podcast yet, because I do have segments on the show now, and this segment is called Gear Talk. I love talking about gear. The thing that I've been obsessed with this week is this small rig 10-watt flashlight thing. Like it's super dope. It's dead right now because I use this thing all the time. It's lightweight. It's not too bright. I really wish it was a lot brighter, but all in all, for what this is, can't beat it. Um, and it has multiple mounting points, so I could like mount this thing anywhere. I have this thing I could just twist it on here, and I could put a magnet, which says this magnet base, and pretty much shine that light anywhere I want it to go. It's pretty cool. So this small rig light is the gear of the week. I'll put in the link down below, and I actually made a vid. I think I said I made a video about it, but yeah, it's pretty dope. All right, so let's move on to the next segment. It's Q&A segment. You've got questions, I've got answers. Hopefully, you can send me a DM on Instagram at guil.dormius or leave a voicemail at speakpipe.com/Guil. So the first couple of questions that I got, these were from Instagram. So I got these questions from Instagram. And this first question is from Call the Nurse Podcast. Best program for doing virtual podcasts that look professional via a computer. That's actually Ecamm. I just spoke about that earlier. You can actually do a 100% podcast using Ecamm. You actually can even use Ecamm with your computer and just have it all wireless, like have your phone and it just be completely wireless. Like it's amazing. So Ecamm is that app that I would recommend you look into. I'll put a link in the description for you. All right, we have another question from L, who's a friend of the show. L says, which film camera would you recommend to a beginner? Which film camera would you recommend to a beginner? That's a good question. I would honestly say any film camera would work, simply because I don't think there's like a beginner film camera. Like they all are essentially just that, a film camera. You know what I'm saying? Um, there are some gimmicks and gimmicky ones where they're like uh, super consumer Fisher Price looking. Stay away from those because a lot of them have no. You want to be able to get into something and grow with it. You don't want it to be obsolete in like 3 to 4 years. You can't change the battery as an internal charging battery. A lot of the film cameras that are great because they have been in existence for like well over 50, 60, 70 years, 30 years, whatever the case is. And like there's like some Nikon film cameras that you can buy. They're probably like 30, 40 years old. You buy them now and they have a fleet of accessories that you can use, and you can use new Nikon lenses like a newer FX lens that came out a couple of years ago. So you're buying a camera that came out 40, 50 years ago, popping a lens that came out in 2012 or 2013, and it'll work. Yeah, that's what you should look into. I think, well, I forget the term, but it's like the continuity, like the ecosystem. Well, the ecosystem is very important as a creative, as a podcast engineer. That's why I was saying don't get like a multiple cameras, like different camera brands. They have to be within the same ecosystem. That way it saves you a lot of headache. But to answer the question, any film camera that's not some Fisher Price one. I know there's like a few Nikon old school ones that could work, but I don't know them off the top of my head. I think I did send you some on Instagram though. But yeah, for sure, stay away from those Fisher Price looking ones. All right, I think we got it. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. This is the first episode of season 2. So it's really special for me to be back and using the Rodecaster Video S and doing these cool switches and stuff like that. I can't wait for the next episode. If you are interested in, seeing what the next episode is, I'll be sharing all the information on my Patreon. So stay tuned for that. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Peace.